awareness or consciousness there in order to be able to operate with it or play with it or whatever is going to open up here, meaning that some people might have access to this a little bit earlier than some other people might have, because it would actually seem a little bit responsible, so to speak, to perhaps let people into this world when they perhaps don't have the consciousness awareness to operate with it.
This is a dangerous road, though, because then you're talking about sort of karma and ego. Oh, I'm better than you, or my God's better than you are, or we're ready to go and you're not ready to go. So that becomes another moral dilemma. Who are we to say that we're better and we deserve this? You're right. It's very, very It's a very troubling issue because it's an issue of morality, basically.
Of course, but also that doesn't mean that just because as you say, if time does not exist, that doesn't mean that the one who get there first wins the game, so to speak. Because again, this is not about linear time. This is just about the position you're in and what you can do with that and what you yourself can do at that point. I mean, that doesn't mean that's also our interpretation or our judgment of the situation. That okay, if one can get access to that sooner, then they are better. But that's not what I'm saying anyway, if you follow me.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying. And I think that more importantly, we should be talking about helping those people get to where they need to be. And that's sort of what the Theosophical Society by H.P. Blavatsky. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
It's very, very similar to synchromysticism as far as the viewpoints that a lot of us believe. There's the three declared objects, basically. First, to form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, caste, or color. Second, to encourage the study of comparative religion, philosophy, and science. And third, to investigate the unexplained laws of nature and the powers latent in man. And that is very important. The powers latent in man. They are dormant within us. We all have them inside of us. It's just a matter of awakening them. And it doesn't matter. Everybody has their breaking point. And everybody has the point where they will come to a level of acceptance. And I think that the religions of the world, with their good intentions that they have, they build walls. They don't take walls down. They say my God's better than your God, and they say that certain people are going to burn in this eternal hellfire, and an omnipotent singularity or conglomerate Godhead that we're all a part of. I mean, isn't it a little absurd to think at this point that the majority of the planet is going to burn in some sort of, eternal pit of hell? Why would we even be created then? There'd be no point. It's, again, if you bring it back to a holographic universe and a computer program, why would somebody design, have you ever played SimCity or SimEarth? Right,
yeah.
I mean, granted, there's a lot of people, that would just make an Earth just so they can make disasters happen and destroy their cities, and have earthquakes come and volcanoes erupt over cities and stuff. But on a much more intelligent design line of thinking, no one would create an Earth in this sort of ecological zoo, that this protected cosmic planet that we're on right now. No one would create it just to destroy it, and no one would create it to put conscious beings on it so they could suffer in eternal hell. It's absurd. It's a scare tactic, and I would more likely believe in the Cookie Monster than their bullshit.
Well, I mean, it's if you take it from a standpoint of a more scientific outlook with no creator behind this or no plan or purpose, then I guess that they would be able to see that, that because everything that goes on in the universe are random events anyway. So, a catastrophe or some kind that would actually, totally knock the, planet off its orbit, and consequently, all life on it would perish. That wouldn't seem as a far-fetched idea to them, I guess. But what you're talking about here is that there's a plan here. There's a purpose going on.
Yes, I absolutely. I mean, synchromysticism points in every direction that there's a plan and there's an intelligent design. And again, I'm not saying that there's some singularity out there that's making ultimatums and rules. I'm saying that we're all a part of it and we're making it together. And that there are beings way ahead of us, probably millions of years more evolved than us, that view the Earth as a sacred place. This is a very old ecological zoo of study. And there are so many wonders on this planet that we still haven't investigated. The hollow Earth theory, and I think there just came out an amazing study right from your home country in Sweden. Mm-hmm. I think that you had a link on your website suggesting that the core of the Earth is a cube or a Rubik's cube.
Well,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Do you know more about that, Heinrich?
Well, yeah, exactly. But I need to clear that up because that was actually very difficult in the article in itself. it's in a holographic sense. Then you could say yes, the core in itself is a cube, but they were talking about how the structure of the iron, iron are composited together, meaning that there are like many, billions and billions of small, there we go with the billions again, but anyway, billions of small atoms.
You gotta do it with the accent.
Exactly. Billions of billions. Anyway, very small, the structure of the molecules are like cubes, and so this wasn't like a large cube. I don't know if that's what you picked up from the article, but anyway.
Well, what I picked up in general, maybe not from that article in particular, is the symbol of the swastika or the black sun, I believe to be the internal sun in the whole hollow earth theory paradigm. Right. And then let me just give you, back to what I do and what Jake and I do in our videos, it ties it back to this theme, so just bear with me a minute.
Sure.
Viggo Mortensen, who resonates the great all-seeing eye from Lord of the Rings, have you seen the film Eastern Promises?
No, I have not.
Well, there's a scene in the film where he walks across the checkerboard and he spills blood in a Christ-like manner on the floor.
Yeah,
and,
I've seen the scene from your videos, obviously, yeah.
From my video, okay.
Yeah.
He has a tattoo representing the Holy Trinity on his back, and he has 4 stars tattooed on his body, which symbolize Ursa Major, the bear. He has 2 stars on his knees, and he has 2 on his shoulders. Right. And in the Russian mob, that represented that you didn't have to bow before any man. And that leads me to all the interesting Ian McKellen things that I've been talking about in my videos lately. He played the polar bear, which is also a symbol of Ursa Major, in the Golden Compass, which was another movie about ascension, alternate dimensions, and this sort of spectral dust that connected different worlds and all of humanity together. You remember the movie Dune, right?
Oh yeah. You
remember the spice that they were collecting on the desert planet?
Sure. It's
the same thing. They used the spice to bend space-time. They used this cosmic dust to basically traverse the cosmos. It was the most it was the most amazing substance in the galaxy. It was harvested for that reason. Now the polar bear claw and the Hyperborean myth has strong aesthetic ties to the symbol of the swastika, as many thousands of years ago Ursa Major would have painted a swastika in the sky through the precession of the seasons. So if one were to be in the polar regions and they watched it through the different seasons, it would paint a swastika in the sky. And it may be the actual origin of the symbol in the sort of those ancient solar religions, like and now you see the symbols today, like the Knights of Malta, trying to make it more modern.
Right.
But later the symbol was identified with Hitler and Nazi Germany and their quest for basically alien relics and first contact in Antarctica. They were trying to make first contact with alien beings. I really do believe that. And it's also where the symbolism came from, the black sun came from, which I believe is the small smoky sun at the core of the planet. So here's where things start to get a little weird, if it hasn't gotten weird enough already, at least to me. Ian McKellen played a Nazi war general in The Apt Pupil.
Yeah.
He was branded in a concentration camp in the X-Men series in his role as Magneto, and he narrated the movie Stardust. So not only is he representing sort of the Ursa Major polar bear in the Golden Compass and the Stardust motif, but he's also narrating the movie Stardust. And since I said the polar bear claw is representative of the swastika or the Nazi sign or the black sun, he also resonates the Nazi as he plays the war general in The Apt Pupil and as Magneto. And like I said in the movie Dust or Dune, the dust is basically the same concept in the Golden Compass. It's fairy dust, like Peter Pan.
Right,
and you could go on and on. I mean, I believe all these symbols are monatomic elements of like the gold and platinum groups, basically, that will eventually lead to a lot of revolutionary technologies in the world.
And I just want to add a little bit of to that, perhaps, because he also is known as Sir Ian McKellen, and been listening to Jordan Maxwell, and he mentions that Sir actually comes from Sirius, or Sirius, the concept of the star again, the dog star and all that. So there's.
Go ahead. I was just going to say the Osirion in Egypt, that's adjacent to the Abydos Temple, is one of the most interesting structures known to man. And another bizarre occurrence with McKellen, he's obviously Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In the Two Towers, or the Tolkien 9/11 Towers, as I call them, the scene where he kills the Balrog demon, he collapses on top of some sort of holy Himalayan mountain, and the cliff itself is shaped exactly like a bear's head. And I'm not making this stuff up. So, I mean, this is what synchromysticism is about. It's all these correlations that just seem to add up to some kind of bizarre, artistic painting that you never imagined was there. And I think this would be a good time to sort of read the college paper that Ezra Sanderbell sent me that just describes synchromysticism a little bit more. Would you mind that?
Please go ahead.
Okay. He basically entitled it "The 4 Degrees of Synchromystic Awareness." The 4 degrees in their totality are comparable to the concentric discs of a dartboard. The unenlightened initiate's first task is to recognize that the board exists, that he has been throwing darts blindly across the room, that thus far, even when he landed a dart on the board, he has dismissed the synchronicity as meaningless or insignificant. The acknowledgement of the synchromystic dartboard creates a dichotomous boundary analogous to the alchemist's pictorial representation of a flask's interior and exterior. All darts that land on the board through the conscious intent of the initiate are to be hereby considered significant. Like a dartboard, the novice will begin to play at a low to medium skill level. As they hone their skills, they will approach the bullseye more frequently. The goal, of course, is to always hit the bullseye. I mean, there's no point system here. Here's an explanation of each layer from outer circle to inner circle. The number 4, the mundane sphere, or the outermost ring of the dartboard. The initiate forces a connection between events and symbols in order to support a hypothesis that is not interesting or useful. I think that's, what's going on far too much in this field right now. It's sort of the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon phenomenon.
Yeah.
And, it's obvious to most people that in this kind of work that Jake or I are doing, it's much more profound and significant, both spiritually and intellectually, as we are attempting to show a universal interconnectivity between man and nature, and to one another, basically. Number 3, you have the intentional sphere. Through free association, multiple events are connected to support a hypothesis that is both esoterically relevant and of interest to the initiate. A piece of art or event is analyzed through free association, basically. Free association of dream meanings as they relate to the collective mind of the universe. See Carl Jung's book, Psychology and Alchemy, on that. And the goal here, I mean, there are also many other variants, like entheogenetic synchromysticism is a temporary, intuitive, conscious undertaking of multiple simultaneous synchromystic possibilities, while under the influence of a psychedelic drug like LSD, DMT, or mushrooms, or during a dream cycle. You could even get synchronicities from a dream that you've had and tie them into a movie or a video. Right. And the prime material, or inner sphere, is basically what everybody wants to hit, the bullseye of the dartboard. It's an ongoing sense of understanding and connectivity to the universe and to one another without doubt and without limitation. And I think that's where everybody wants to be and everybody should be, because it's a very beautiful place.
Oh, yeah. And that paper, again, is written by?
Let me get his name right. Ezra Sanderbell.
And this is regarding a course that he's constructing around?
I believe that he just turned it in as a college paper, but there are a few people who has contacted me that they're trying to teach this in a college setting. I've been asked to speak in a couple, but because of my TMJ, my jaw disorder, I haven't been able to speak publicly really yet.
Yeah.
But I will eventually.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's that's very interesting that all these different kind of concepts and ideas are merging together again here as one single concept. And as you say, this is ultimately about discovering the interconnectedness of all things. Why do you think, and this is an eternal question, so to speak, that pops up here about it, but I want to ask it anyway. Why do you think that movies carry such, high, heavy weight, so to speak, in regards to representing synchromysticism, and if you follow what I mean there?
Because it's such an economic boom, the film industry and the music industry. I suppose that subconsciously or subliminally, if they put these messages in films, books or music or anything else, they receive a lot more sales, and it perpetuates itself. Like me personally, just using synchromysticism, sort of the Alice in Wonderland themes, if you use that as a base and you build it sort of like a pyramid,